Good morning and welcome to Medicare Made Simple with Medicare Myriam and her co-host Tracy from Smart Caregiving. Medicare Made Simple is brought to you by United Insurance Experts. Call today 561-464-CARE. That's 561-464-CARE. Now here are Medicare Myriam and Tracy with Medicare Made Simple.
Good morning, all, and thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Miriam Leva with United Insurance Experts. United Insurance Experts is not affiliated with or endorsed by the government or the federal Medicare program. We do not offer every plan available in your area. Currently in Palm Beach County, we represent 10 organizations which offer 49 products. Please contact Medicare.gov or you can call them at 1-800-MEDICARE to get information on all of your options. The purpose of the show is to educate you on Medicare and to connect you with valuable resources. Joining me is my co-host, Tracy Lamb from Caregiving Worldwide. Good morning, Tracy.
Good morning, Miriam. Have you had a hot and wet week?
Oh, okay. Yes. I was actually in Vegas, and it was very hot. Not wet, hot. Sorry. Yes.
There was no rain there.
Yeah, no rain. Definitely heat. Definitely heat. It was my first time in Vegas and without the kiddos. So definitely it was lots of fun. But we don't tell the kids that. It was an amazing
Well, and I
time.
saw this week though that with the kiddos you did go see Mamma Mia.
I sure did. My girls are big fans of Mamma Mia, and we had a fabulous time. Just to see their smiles and singing the songs, it's like, because I grew up in the 90s and I loved the Mamma Mia movie, and just to see them singing the song, it was just like, I don't know, it was just beautiful.
That's so awesome.
And I felt it was like my mommy guilt, leaving them for the weekend, that long weekend while I was in Vegas. I'm trying to find ways to make it up. I'm like, this is how they get me. I'm buying all this stuff, and then I'm like, wait a minute, what am I doing?
Mommy guilt is real.
Yes,
guilt is real.
Yes, definitely. I think they love that. They're like, when are you going again? They get more out of me.
I'm sure they do, though. I'm sure that they benefited from it.
Oh, they did. But it's stopping now, I promise.
There you go.
You've opened my eyes. No longer blind. But how are you? How's your week going, Tracy?
It's been good. It was my mom's 84th birthday this week. So
happy birthday to Mom.
Yes. So we had a celebratory birthday week with her. She had lots of chocolate. And so it was a good week. It was a good week. Wet, but because it rains here a lot, but it was good.
Oh, good. I'm glad you had a great time with Mom. And we do have a guest today. I don't know if you want to kind of talk a little bit about our guest, Tracy.
Sure. Our guest today is Jessica Wheatley. She is a clinical aromatherapist and entrepreneur with a passion for enhancing the well-being of seniors and their caregivers naturally with evidence-based aromatherapy. She is the founder of AromaWell. She specializes in creating innovative aromatherapy solutions for caregivers and the senior living and hospitality sectors. And their product actually elevates the mind, body, and soul through the power of natural scent. And she is on a mission to help people smell good, feel good every single day. You will love her. She's great.
Well, I can't wait to hear what she has to say and to learn more about what she does. But before we bring her out, I do want to go over the Medicare questions that I received this week. Really quickly. The first question that I received was, let's see here. I have a Medicare Advantage plan and I'm moving. Can I keep my current plan? So if you're moving out of the service plan, you will need to enroll in a plan that's in the new area. And you always want to inform Medicare of this new change, right? If you know you're moving in the next month or so, it's always good to notify Medicare that you're moving, and also speak to your agent. If you're working with an agent, make sure they're aware that you're planning on moving so they can start looking at the plans in the new area, especially if you're in a Medicare Advantage plan. Now, that is different for those that have original Medicare, as your Medicare Part A and B always move with you. And if you have a supplement plan, basically you just have to notify them of this move. Right? So again, if you're working with an agent, it's always a good idea to let them know and do the research. If you're not working with an agent, make sure you call the back of the card and contact your insurance company to see what, plans they offer in this new zip code. A lot of times you would think, I'm not moving from state to state, but I'm just moving to the next city. That plan that you currently have might not be offered in that new city. So just be aware that there could be changes when you do move. So again, make sure you do your research, speak to your agent, and if you're going to be moving soon and would like to know about the plans in the new area, you're always welcome to call United Insurance Experts. We are licensed throughout the country, so our number is 561-464-2273. The next question is, how do I update my address with Medicare? So you can update your information on your Social Security account. That's like the easiest and fastest way, right? If I always recommend create an account online with SSA. If you do that, you can update, you can find out all your claims. You could just pretty much know everything on your Social Security account. But again, you can make those changes online, or you can call Social Security at 1-800-772-1213. That number again is 1-800-772-1213. Or you could visit your local Social Security office to update that information with them. It's very important that you do because the moment you make a change, let's say you move and you don't make this change, you might be out of that service area if you have a Medicare Advantage or even a prescription drug. A lot of my original Medicare recipients have a Part D. Well, I hope you do, right? Because you could be subject to penalties. If you do, that could change as well. So make sure you do update that. Next question is, what are Medicare enrollment periods? So Medicare enrollment periods, you have your initial enrollment period. That's when you first become eligible for Medicare, typically 3 months prior to your birthday, your 65th birthday month, and then 3 months after your birthday. This is called the initial enrollment period. Then you also have a special enrollment period. That's when you come off an employer plan later, after your 65th birthday. Let's say you're 70 years old and you're like, okay, I'm retired now. I no longer have access to my employer plan. Now I want to get on Medicare. Then you have that time. That's also an enrollment period for you. Then you have the general election period that runs from January 1st through March 31st. This is pretty much where you can go on Medicare if you missed an enrollment period. So it's a very important time as well, January 1st through March 31st. And then, of course, you have the annual election period, guys, that is coming up October 15th through December 7th. This is the time where you make any changes if you want to get on a Medicare Advantage, if you want to drop, switch. But as we get closer to AEP, I'll be reminding you guys, about this important enrollment period. That's called the annual election period, running from October 15th through December 7th. Next question, and my last question is, what is the Inflation Act and the $2,000 I keep hearing about? Now, I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but in 2025, there is going to be many changes. Now, the Inflation Act started in 2023, but for the first time in 2025, the drug law requires the annual out-of-pocket cost to be capped at $2,000 for individuals with a Medicare Part D plan. Now, this includes the standalone Part D plans and the Part D plans that are offered within your Medicare Advantage plan. So for all Part D plans. So again, they will be capped at $2,000. For this year, the cap is $8,000. So that went really low to $2,000. That's actually a really good thing. I know I've talked about the donut hole because it's so confusing. There's no more donut hole for 2025. It's going away. You basically have 3 stages: your deductible stage, if your plan has a deductible, the initial stage, and the catastrophic stage. So for 2025, now this is for the new year, it's going to be capped at $2,000. That's the catastrophic stage. But for 2024, it's $8,000, and you still have the donut hole for this year, okay? But down the line, I will be discussing more about this and the new changes for 2025. Just wanted to answer that question. So over to you, Tracy, so you can introduce our wonderful guest.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Miriam, for all of the wonderful information, as always. So I would like to introduce our guest, Jessica Wheely. Hello, Jessica.
Hello. Good morning, you guys. Tracy, thank you so much for having me. And Miriam, nice to meet you.
You're out on the West Coast. You're in Arizona, correct?
Ooh.
Well, yes, my body is on Arizona time, but I'm somewhere in the ether right now because I'm making my way back to the Midwest. So I'm actually only an hour behind you. I'm in Nebraska.
Okay.
But,
right.
we're catching up.
Cool.
We're catching up.
Well, we are super excited to have you, so I want to just dive right in. So why don't you tell us exactly what is an aromatherapist and how does aromatherapy work?
Absolutely. So I get that question a lot because a lot of people haven't actually heard of a professional aromatherapist. And so what we are is we are formally trained in using aroma, and that is natural scent from plants to influence the body and the mind and the spirit. So, for example, essential oil comes from and all plants that have a scent have essential oil. I like to use the example of lavender because most people know what lavender is. When we smell lavender gets into our body through our nose, and it influences our brain. And then it kind of sets off this chain reaction of chemical reactions and biophysical reactions in the body. So it's very scientific, and it's actually very much evidence-based. So there's tons of research and study on it. And so that's what we do. We use scent, we use essential oil, and in this way we can influence the brain and body in so many amazing, profound ways to help people. And the cool thing is it's easy for them because all they have to do is breathe. And, there are cases where we're using it topically for pain relief and to help different organs of the body or for skincare. It's wonderful. Lavender, actually, I always have it in my kitchen because not only is it very relaxing and stress relieving while I cook, but it's amazing for burns. So if you burn yourself and you immediately put a little lavender on it, it will stop a burn dead in its tracks, FYI.
Wow.
So when we smell something, it gets in the body. So keep that in mind when you're inhaling. Well, we know, like, if we're inhaling gasoline, it makes us sick. So it's really important if you want to really embrace the power of aromatherapy that you understand, and this is what we educate people on, is that we are using real, natural, essential oil that's good for us, not synthetic perfumes and fragrances and air fresheners that you get at, like, Target.
Right. And I know from our conversation that why don't you tell us a little bit more about how you got into using aromatherapy with seniors?
Yes. Okay. So, that story begins in 2013. I'm originally from Minnesota, and I had just become certified. So, like I said, it's a professional certification. I was trained by a German chemist, and I have all this, technical background on it, but I didn't really know what I was going to do with it. I was just looking at the research at the time, and there was a lot of research coming out about dementia and the aging population and using aromatherapy to address some of the symptoms of those neurocognitive diseases. And in 2013, I was approached by a skilled nursing community in Minnesota. They had, high-level dementia care, memory care, skilled nursing, assisted living, just the whole gambit of care at their facility. And they had a lot of challenging residents that were really, not living their best life there. And staff were also very stressed. The caregivers were stressed and burned out. So they had heard a little bit about aromatherapy, and they didn't really know what they were doing. They had, honestly, they had Febreze. And Febreze, if anybody knows, is not really aromatherapy. It's actually just a but their intentions were good. And so I went in and we talked about what true aromatherapy was. And I kind of just took the challenge on. I'm like, cool, I guess this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Because I was sitting here like, I know all this. Now how can I really make an impact? And long story short, they had some pretty challenging cases there. One gentleman was very aggressive. He was up all night, sleeping all day, very hard to deal with, being aggressive with staff, and over-medicated is really what was going on because they didn't know how to help him. And the only tool they had in their tool belt was medication. So we went through and addressed multiple different ways to help him by improving his sleep and wake cycles. So we'd use aromatherapy in the mornings to help him stay alert and put him in a good mood. We'd use aromatherapy when he was anxious, like certain formulations I created that were really good at calming his nerves naturally and reducing agitation. And this was all in the research, so I was just kind of playing with what I was learning. And then helping him sleep better and naturally at night is absolutely, I believe, like the cornerstone of what turns him around. So when we get to sleep naturally, that changes our whole day, our cognitive health and everything. And so within 2 weeks, we got that gentleman in particular, because he's the one I like to talk about, off of Seroquel. We got him sleeping at night. We got him behaving much better during the day. And most importantly, his quality of life improved. And the staff's stress levels went down substantially. And so after that, we saw the whole kind of floor, because this was the kind of the advanced floor of the unit, transform and do a 180. And I still work with that community today. That's how robust their aromatherapy program is now. They brought it, to all their floors, all their different departments. And in fact, we've had such success addressing mood, depression, sleep, behavior, energy levels, appetite, that we built a program for all 35 communities in their portfolio. That was kind of my first big project back in 2016, 2017, and we still work with all of them today. In fact, that's one of the reasons I'm heading back to the Midwest, is to work with them some more and train some of their new staff on clinical aromatherapy.
I just think that's amazing. And now, so you can do that in these care communities, but people can also use this aromatherapy at home as well, correct?
100%, absolutely, and they should. In fact, that's one of the things that I've been focusing on in the last couple of years since we relocated our business to Arizona, where there is a substantial population of older adults living independently and caring for each other, right? So one of the things we do there is we'll go into homes and actually set them up and consult directly with families on how to do that. There's so many ways. And just, for example, a wife who's caring for her husband can set up a diffuser. We have some great products that make it very easy. They can set up what's called a diffuser, which is a machine that puts it into the air for them in the bedroom at night, and it can go off nightly. And what we find in the research, in fact, a great paper came out last summer and said when older adults diffuse aromatherapy every night and fall asleep naturally with aromatherapy, overnight it's improving cognitive health. It's helping them breathe better and getting more oxygen to their brain. It's stimulating the right chemistry in the brain that they want to help keep it alive and active, right? And it's calming them down, reducing cortisol levels, naturally helping them sleep. So all of that happening at night, they show that when they do that regularly, I think the study focused on like 4 to 6 weeks. After 4 to 6 weeks, they saw substantial changes to their brain for the better, like physical changes, and they saw a significant increase in their daytime mood and cognition. So not only is it something that we can do for caregivers and their families and their loved ones, but we should do. Because this is about their longevity and improving their quality of life. And then now, of course, the caregivers can be stressed from this as well.
Well, now, and along those same lines, what specific essential oils or blends do you recommend for promoting relaxation or reducing stress for caregivers?
Sure. So for caregivers, naturally, I bring up lavender because everybody knows it, but that's not the only one. In fact, I love using citrus oils for nighttime stress, because lavender can be a little relaxing. Some people love it during the day, but orange, for example, is such a joyful oil. Lemon. These oils, they stimulate dopamine and serotonin, which are the happy chemicals in the brain. They bring a dose of sunlight into our life, whether we're, in Seattle where it rains, or, in Florida where it's sunny. We can bring nature into our life. And of course, so there's a whole gambit of what I tell people is what you like. If there's something you like that brings you joy, that's what you should be smelling. Because the last thing we want is for you to be smelling something you don't enjoy. And then there's, of course, the therapeutic value of blending. So, like, that's what we do. We have blends. So we have a blend called Shinewell that has all sorts of citrus oils in it. And the whole message behind Shinewell is to just bring light and joy into your life. We have another one called Stresswell, which a lot of caregivers like, because Stresswell is actually formulated to reduce cortisol, which is the stress hormone in the body. And so it has a combination of lavender, peppermint, another oil I love called bergamot, which some people may be familiar with from Earl Grey tea, kind of what gives Earl Grey tea its signature scent. So that's a good one too.
And there's a major difference between like the regular like essential oils that you can buy like in the store and like the oils that you're putting in your aromatherapy, correct?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, because that's a big thing. Because the industry is growing and it's popular, of course, just like anything else, it's gaining all this attention and everybody's trying to make a buck.
Right.
So I'll have people come to me and say, "Oh, I got this at Marshall's or TJ Maxx or Target or Walmart." No. That's not what's going into our bottles, or even Amazon for that matter. I highly caution against shopping on Amazon. So when you're using aromatherapies and you want to get the best results, and it primarily what we see is when you don't get good results from it, it's because it's not real. Or it's been, somehow adulterated. So I am actually the person in the company that sources our oil. I've actually traveled to other parts of the world because the oils come from all over the world. That's part of the cool part, or one of the cool things about aromatherapy is you get to experience other cultures and places without having to go anywhere. And so they're high quality. We vet them all. They're tested for purity. And not only are they tested for purity, but when we select an oil, I'm looking at the chemical profile of that oil. So lavender, for example, has over 100 different chemicals in it, and natural chemicals, naturally occurring chemicals. And I'm looking at that to make sure I have the best lavender that's going to produce the most relaxing results, because that's what my goal is when I'm using lavender, for example. So, a lot goes into it. So I say know your oil, lady. know who you're getting your oil from.
Know where your oil is from, right?
Yes, that's exactly right. Well, and that's what I mean. The first time that Jessica and I talked, I was like, well, it seems like you can buy essential oils, nearly anywhere nowadays. And she's like, yeah, but most of those are not the ones that you want to buy.
Is there something that we should would be like a red flag?
Yes. The price tag, I say, is usually the biggest red flag, which it takes time to understand what that means. But if it just seems like way too good of a deal to be true, like you start comparing, start looking at different companies and seeing what they charge. Now, that being said, there's also companies that charge way too much, like multi-level marketing companies. No shame on them, but there are some companies out there that are, kind of that home party model of selling products. They're always going to have a bigger price tag because of the way their business is structured. So that's one way. The other way is if it doesn't make you feel good when you smell it, because if it's adulterated, we have a big problem in this world right now, and I actually consider it a public health concern, is artificial fragrance. And it's actually the biggest contributor to why people have a lot of sensitivities to things and allergies and respiratory. In fact, I go into communities and we get rid of their air freshening systems. They have machines that are just pouring out chemicals. Sorry, I don't mean to go on a tangent here, but it's important. That are contributing to cognitive issues. Same with the plugins and at your homes and in your bathrooms and stuff. We kind of clean that out and replace it with something just as effective at, say, odor control, with all the added health benefits that aromatherapy provides. So yes, if you're smelling something and it doesn't make you feel good, or it smells chemically, like it's too much like a Glade plug-in, that's probably a red flag. Also, if it doesn't feel strong, essential oils are strong. Like you shouldn't be able to just stick your nose right in a bottle and take a big whiff and not feel like, oh, that's strong, because they're very pure and potent.
Right.
So yeah, I think the nose learns, especially as you begin to experience the oils. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to just hopefully guide people towards my company, because we pride ourselves on our quality, our purity, and our price point is what I believe is very middle of the road for what we offer.
I definitely want to go ahead and get your website out there, Jessica, so that everybody knows where to find these wonderful products. Your website is AromaWell, and that's AROMAWELL, aromawell.com. Again, that is aromawell.com. That is where you're going to find these wonderful aroma products. Like she said, you definitely want to look and make sure that you don't really want to buy the ones that you can find in Target or wherever. I'm not meaning that in a bad way, but it's just that these things can actually really cause cognitive issues, especially in seniors. And if you can get the right things, you could really cure a lot of these problems that you may be having with you or your loved one. Right. And so I think this is definitely a fantastic product for people to look into. What were you going to say?
Like Jessica
Myriam
said, know your oils, right?
Yep. Know your oil lady.
Know your oil lady. I'm your oil lady.
And Jessica is an awesome oil lady. She definitely knows her stuff. So, again, her website is aromawell.com. And Jessica, we want to thank you so much for being our guest today. Thank you for joining me and Myriam. I'm going to throw it back to Myriam to finish us out.
Yes, well, it was a pleasure having you, Jessica, and thank you for the education. I actually had no idea about like the oils. The only time I recall using oil myself was when I got COVID and I lost my sense of smell. I went crazy and I just didn't know what to do. And I remember getting like the lemon oil to try to get my senses back. So that was just how I used it. So it's very interesting to learn about this. And definitely if anybody wants to learn more, please reach out to Jessica. You can look at her site. Do you mind repeating that site again, Tracy?
Sure. It's aromawell.com.
And if you guys missed that or would like to learn more, we'd be more than happy to connect you. You're welcome to call United Insurance Experts at 561-464-2273. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and have a lovely Saturday.
Have a wonderful day.
Thanks for listening to Medicare Made Simple with Medicare Myriam and Tracy right here on Legends 100.3. Medicare Made Simple is brought to you by United Insurance Experts. For more information, call 561-464-CARE. That's 561-464-CARE. Tune in next Saturday at 9 a.m. for more Medicare Made Simple with Myriam and Tracy.